suggested purchase options for maybe the top selected items on Amazon. Amazon's slowly learning your buying habits, and then they're making suggestions. And all of a sudden, then you got 20 packages at your door, or it's on Netflix, where everything that you're looking at is now perfectly tailored to your previously watched episodes. So what we're doing as humans is we're really conditioning ourselves in different ways of how we're ingesting information, how we're processing that information, and then how we're making decisions with that information. So I say that the demand for brand today is highly important. A lot of companies are kind of confused from a marketing perspective as to what they need to be doing right now. The loss of cookies has a major impact on a lot of marketing because they're losing that information of how people are making decisions and where they need to go and network or market their product. So it really is more on the individual, and by no means that am I preaching today. I'm just simply sharing as to some insights. So hopefully it's something that you guys can take away, apply it in your day job, try it out. But biggest thing of all is overcoming that fear, right? I think I was fearful before the pandemic, but the pandemic allowed me to learn something about myself. I got to start meeting great people and listening, and you really start to learn and kind of, well, this seems to be changing. So I always love to connect. So if you guys, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if there's ever anything that I can answer for you or anything, just please reach out. So a few things just to start is like what to think about, right? Sorry, a really loud cart is going right. So things to think about. The I'm all set mindset. So I want you to put yourselves in in your shoes when you were going to the mall, when we still bought things at a mall, right? And you were going into a store and you knew the exact item, or maybe it was those fancy pair of shoes, whether they were the small pumps or the Air Jordans, whatever they might be, you knew exactly what you were looking for, right? So when we start to go into the store, and even if that woman or man is there to greet us with balloons and a megaphone and say, hey, is there anything I can do to help you? Our traditional mindset is that we say we're all set, right? We don't like asking for people's help. We know what we want. We've shopped online. We picked it out and we're going into the store. Now you do that time and time again. This is how the buyer's mindset is now shifting, right? It's that I want to find my information out there. I'm going to do my research. And at the end of that decision is when I'm going to bring in industry experts or those professionals that I identified. But what I say from a sales perspective, right, if people are doing 80% of the research and they're 80% of their decision by the time they're engaging you as a consultant or you as a sales professional or you, whatever you might do in your day job, then you are then saying, all right, there's 20%.
All right, I guess I better get on my noon webinar.
There's 20%.
All right, thanks a lot.
20%
Okay,
of the time,
bye-bye.
right?
You too, bye-bye.
So with that 20% of time, now there might be 4 other individuals that you're now competing against, right? So now you have almost a 5% influence on that decision. So what I start to look at is the expertise, and I joke with toilet paper, right? We talk about being an expert. And when you care about your profession and you care about your field and you love what you do, you are going to invest the time necessary, the research time necessary to become that expert of your craft, right? If you sell insurance, you better know the inside, outside, roundabouts, what you can do to really leverage that as a product to help find a solution for whoever you're providing that service to, right? And it's really understanding what problems that you actually solve. A lot of times in the past, it was a product dump. It was how quickly can I get out of my mouth everything that we offer and everything that we do in hopes that one of those things that I say, that person on the other side is going to resonate with. So I say expertise. I don't care if you know the best way to change a roll of toilet paper. There is someone in this world that wants to know the best way to change a toilet paper roll. So they are going to come to you for those expertise and you are educating them. We talk in consulting for the whole idea of that give to get strategy, right? If I give them insights and expertise, then they are going to give me something in return, right? That's what we're talking about in today's environment, which makes that brand and social selling all the more important today. Cold calling and emailing. Anybody that owns their own business, this is a word of business. Maybe you have all the referrals in the world, and that's great. But cold calling and emailing is still a part of my world. And it's boring, right? So there was a lot of changes that happened during the pandemic, and people started to change the way that they were consuming information, especially in their personal lives. But then we saw where personal and professional got so crossed that now they're more intertwined than they've ever been before. So the same way they're ingesting information on a personal side is the same information they prefer on the professional side today. What does that mean? Mobile. Anything that's mobile friendly, looks great on a mobile, odds are that 80-90% of the time that they're watching a video, it's probably on their mobile device. And we'll kind of get into some of the statistics later. But that is the old way, right? 33 billion emails were up during the pandemic. So everybody knew that, hey, I shouldn't probably bother them on the phone. I want to be more understanding. I'm going to send a very elegant, with pictures, email to this person that I don't even know. He's a total stranger or she's a total stranger, and expect that they're going to give me the time that they don't even have so I can sell them or pitch them my product, right? So, and that's what I left ADP for, right? I was at ADP and they wanted me to sell a product of payroll during the time that people couldn't even pick their heads up out of water. That tells us that we are tone deaf as a brand or as a company. We're unwilling or purposefully being blissfully unaware of the real everyday life or everyday challenges that particular customer is going through, which is more detrimental to your brand in the long run. And that's what we saw great entrepreneurs like Mark Cuban. We interviewed Brian Cuban, his brother, on our podcast, which was pretty awesome. But Mark Cuban has always been an idol of mine because he said things that employers do today will define their brand for decades. And that was right during the height of the pandemic. And he couldn't have been more spot on, right? And at the end of the day, it's really about the power of you as the person. We're finding ourselves. Lindsay was just sharing that she's helping people really find and identify and deal with stressful situations. People are looking for that purpose. We're hearing terms like the Great Resignation. And all that means is that they were sheep before, they found something else that they like, and now they're headed down a different path, right? And the reason that happened is we took a huge time out globally. There was no sports, there was no shows, there was no movies. Everybody had to take a huge pause and actually sit down in the crazy world that we live in and actually think, can I do this for the next 25 years? Does this allow me the opportunity to be with my children, be with my family, do what I actually want to do? Or is my phone ringing at 10:30 p.m.? Because there is no line now between my professional and my personal life. So self-branding is a win-win, right? So if you work for an organization today or you own your own company, your brand is you. So what you do with your last name, one of the things that my father drilled into my head, because we're an Italian family, is it doesn't matter what your first name is, it's the last name on your back, right? So every time you say you're going to do something, do it, because that directly impacts your brand and what you're all about. So if you lie and promise the world and then underdeliver, that's directly negatively impacting your brand, right? But I always tell people that you need to focus on who we are, what do we do, how do we help, and what are the problems that we actually solve. And a lot of times, sometimes it's best to talk to your customers that you've worked with in the past, because you may have an idea as to why they chose to work for you or how you help them specifically. But when you hear it from the horse's mouth, sometimes it's totally different than what you even thought. And then you can start to characterize, and Simon Sinek, who I've listened to probably once in my life, but I heard he's a very intelligent man. And the one thing that I listened to was his why, right? Which I think is the most important word today in this day and age. Why do we do it this way? We have to get curious with things. And why have we always done it that way? Why is marketing always done it that way? Why have I always tried it this way in emailing? Because you're going to start finding the answers to your questions when you're like, well, was it effective? I thought it was effective. So self-branding and marketing is fun. Enjoy it. It's really just letting the world have an inner side as to what it's like to be a friend of yours, right? or what they can get from the relationship. And I found my passion from being at ADP, that HR and how HR can have a positive impact on the business. That made me excited, right? HR is typically the redheaded, ugly stepchild in all these businesses, but I saw the future impact that they could have and really make businesses better serve the community and serve their employees better. By making your employees better, we're making the community better, and we have better leadership. And all of a sudden, all those challenges and all those problems that we face on the daily effort or day-to-day life, all of a sudden, everybody else is just that much better. Social selling. So branding, I always say branding and social selling are one and the same. So anybody that follows me on LinkedIn knows that that is my only form of social media, but it's my opportunity to share some of the things that either I thought I was crazy, right, for thinking this, and I'm simply sharing my ideas with the world and seeing who it resonates with. You might be pretty impressed with how many people actually agree with those same ideas, but you are so afraid to always share, right? It's not that water cooler talk that we were shunned to talk about before. It's now okay to start talking about some of these things head on. So social selling is your opportunity to really let the world know who you are, what problems that you solve, how you can help with people that never wanted to build a relationship with you to begin with, right? We want to offer those little tokens of trust, those little building of value, and we can build our expertise that people are then going to seek out. It's much different, right? We would love to have the phone ringing off the hook. Is that a reality? Some would say, right? I would call those people bullshit. I call it bullshit. Every time people tell me my phone's ringing off the hook, I'm like, okay, yeah, right. But that is the power of understanding where your time is best spent. My friend Tyler White and I do the podcast. What I realized with doing the podcast was something that it wasn't about how many people were listening. I wasn't going to be the next Joe Rogan show making $2 million an episode. It was about how I could build a relationship and learn from that other person at the other side, right? It's taking that opportunity to learn something different, but we must listen. Listening is a dying art, and people are very poor listeners because of some of the conditioning that we are only ingesting the content that we like, and we can scroll through the content, and when we don't like it, we can keep on scrolling, right? So we are losing listening and it's one of those key characteristics that can either make or break a sales professional or a company or a business. Listening, asking questions, sitting back and actually ingesting that information, because you're going to start to learn what problems that you can solve with your solution, but what's also top of mind for people. You may think that your solution solves this one thing, but you could be totally off as to what the value, where that value is actually seen on the other side. So the way that people are buying is changing much faster. Just like we talk about the employers are also getting used to this uncomfortable position where they're in this inferior position right now. But social selling is kind of that differentiator. So I say this as an employee today. I was building, it's an opportunity to build your brand with an employer, right? So you're helping the employer kind of build their brand and recognition, but you can take your brand wherever you go. So we don't want to be disposable. We don't want people to get rid of us like trash. And if they do, this is something you can simply pick up and move to whatever organization. So you talk about freedom, you talk about flexibility. This is something, and it's the power of what you can do with just simply sharing your vision, your voice. And we're talking about one of the things that I had to get comfortable with was the power of video. And my internet's, can you guys still hear me? Good. All right. So this is why I'm a huge data junkie. I have a degree in biology, so science means something to me, and science is something that is trusted, right? So I found it asinine that only 22% of businesses use data and science to drive business decisions. That drove me insane. So then I started to look at, well, how can I start to use data to improve or alter my approach so I can increase the likelihood that I am going to reach that target market or that targeted customer or prospect, whoever it might be, to just simply educate them so they can take those micro learnings or lessons and start to apply in their day jobs, making them better in their day jobs to enable their success. So it's a total re-envisioning of sales, because typically sales professionals are leading with their wallet. How much can I get out of this relationship? How much can I screw this person over? Realizing that that is short-term gains with not long-term results, right? But if you enable somebody's success and they're thinking about you within that day, that's a win for you. That's a conversation that you had with somebody that you didn't even have to spend 15 minutes with. So 8 in 10 people will remember a video for the next 30 days. Think about that. For 30 days, that person is thinking about whatever message that you crafted, whatever piece of information that you gave, that they can now apply to their job and be better, both professionally and personally. Customers can retain up to 95% of the content in the video, but only 10% when reading. So those long-winded emails that we want to puke on everybody and say, oh, well, great work that we've done. And oh, this customer X over here, I was able to do this, this, and this for that customer. Not sure if you're experiencing the same problems with this, this, and this, but I would love to get together with you. We are assuming that people that have no time have time to read our email. Even if you promised to pay them $1 million in the subject line for reading your email, I still promise you're not going to get a lot of responses. So how can we personalize it? How can we stand out? How can we see what everybody else is doing and do the complete opposite? So this is why video works. But what I focus too is when we know that video works, right? And it's an opportunity for them to learn who we are, instead of them painting a picture of who we are from an email or a call on the phone, where they're painting a picture of you within the first 2 seconds. It's your opportunity to just kind of share and showcase who you are, and don't chase perfection. But the time is very important. So you'll see that 2 minutes is probably the longest that you want that video to be. Ideally, if you can get a very impactful message within 30 seconds, that's where a majority of people are going to continue to watch for. And again, we have the attention span of goldfish today. So we want to play that. We want to play that game, right? Going to the next slide is networking. So networking is really goes hand in hand with social selling and brand development, or building your brand, right? I've met people on this call here. Dustin, I'm not sure if you're out there. I know you said you were going to be here today, but he's like a brother to me now. I've never met the guy in person. I feel like I know his family, and I feel exactly like we're looking out for each other out there. It's a big world. It's a scary world. But when you can find people that are passionate about the same things you are, you're going to constantly challenge each other, and you're going to think about things differently. The hardest part is when you think your idea is the best idea and nobody else cares, right? So something that I do to even do it even a greater scale, so I understand, is I network with the same people that I'm looking to do business with, right? But I also focus on, well, who else deals with that similar decision maker? Who else can I network that has a shared decision maker? These are my influence partners. These are people that are going to stand out there for me. Now, what I will tell you is that it's a giver's game, right? I've probably networked with, no joke, 600 people during the pandemic. Do you know how much business that has ever been referred over to me? I'll tell you, 0. It's a giver's game. And now people say, Kevyn Rustici, you're the best networker of all time. Yeah, well, I do it because I expect nothing in return, because I don't want to be let down, right? So if we go in with no expectations and with just that mindset of giving and helping, hopefully in good karma and good sense, my son's beautiful. He's got blue eyes. I'm not sure where they're from. Maybe that's how God paid me back. But it's not about that. It's bigger than thyself, right? Stepping out of our way and helping others, and really creating a community where we want to be a part of, right? We shouldn't be wanting to cut each other's legs down just because we do the same thing, right? How can I learn from them? And I think we're going to see this on a greater scale too in corporations. When corporations are struggling on such a level right now, you're going to see more information sharing between corporations to try to figure out what the hell employees want, right? What strategies are working for you, or what are you doing for this? You're going to see more information sharing. If corporations are information sharing, why aren't we, the employees, or the people that help power these corporations, right? And you can create your power network. But I always say, if you're networking with somebody and you're doing all the talking, you're networking out the whole wrong way. If you're not asking questions first about that person and what they do and how you can help them, you're going in with the wrong mindset of networking. Like I said, it's a giver's game. So you should want to learn about that professional, what motivates them, and discover their why, So then you can be a little bit more effective in understanding how I can now connect two people that have both needs. And that's the fun part. That's the beauty of it. It's simple. And people ask me, well, I don't have time for it. How do you find time for it? It takes 2 seconds. If you can find an excuse, your excuse is always going to take a majority of your time. The last slide is tips and tricks. So I know I'm right on schedule. So tips and tricks is the world of personalization. I always go back to what employees are looking for in employers because personalization is king right now. Individuals want to feel special. We want to feel that the Netflix that has my recommended watches, it's tailored because you've done your homework, you've done your research, and you know who I am and what problems you potentially might be able to solve for me. But you've at least gone that extra mile or that little extra minute to understand a little bit more about me. It has nothing to do with you, right? Take yourself out of it just as much as we want to see great leadership. Great leadership starts with checking egos, right? Check your own ego. It's not about you anymore. So the personalization standpoint, whether it's Tyler White today had a meeting with a gentleman and he went to Baylor. Tyler had a great meeting. At the end of the meeting, he handed him a pair of Baylor business socks. Do you think that guy is ever going to forget the way that Tyler just made that individual feel? People will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So personalization is king. Dale Carnegie was onto something. If you get somebody else talking about themselves more than you talk about yourself, they're more likely to trust you, right? And what we're talking about, and whether it's social networking, social selling, or networking in general, or branding, it's how quickly can I establish trust with somebody and build my expertise. So therefore, they're going to always think about me. Be your authentic self. I always say this in videos and get on podcasts and share your message because you're going to be surprised with how many people really want to hear it. You'll be very surprised, but be authentic. If you're trying to be something that you're not or be someone that you're not, it's going to show through. People can smell bullshit. They can smell it on people. So do what you say what you do, and be you at the end of the day. Practice makes perfect, but perfection is not required. So this goes back to the videos. This goes back to my messaging. Videos, people chase perfection in everything. I need to write this perfect email because if it's perfect, they're going to reply to it. It is more energy draining to chase perfection than simplicity and overthinking things. Don't overcomplicate everything because there's something to be said because people like that raw. That's why people love those live police shows, right? They love unscripted. They don't want to know that you're just simply reading off a script and you know nothing about them, nothing about their business, nothing about their organization, and potentially what they're going through within the day. That doesn't matter. Because again, that's you telling them why they should care about you. Establish legitimacy, be the master of your domain. This is what I always say. Even seek competitors out. The pandemic made this beautiful world, America, but America connected to the world. And now you can find people all the way across the country that share, or across the world that share the same ideas, similar ideas, expertise. You can pick their brain. You can learn really from their mistakes. So I talk to a ton of consultants, right? Probably 100 consultants. And I ask them, when you were first starting your business, what mistakes did you make? And what would you do differently? Because now I'm taking their intellectual and their social capital and summarizing it in a nice cliff notes as to what not to do and what I need to do, right? And then you're kind of organizing those thoughts and those ideas in your own head. The last piece that I will tell you is that you got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Anybody see The Wolf of Wall Street? The only reason that Jordan Belfort was so successful was he had a script that was emotional, that tore at the heartstrings of individuals. But he knew if he didn't have an impact and didn't share his expertise or that thought leadership or expertise quickly, that the person's interest and trust was lost and gone. So that's why he was so focused on that script, because the script was gold. The script took people down a journey. They told a story, and this is where storytelling is now becoming a part of sales more than ever. Some of the greatest salesmen are the greatest storytellers because they understand how their product or solution resolves what particular challenges that these individuals are probably facing today. So with that, I always put Tyler on here. He encouraged me to step outside my comfort zone. We started not only with one podcast, and then I got hungry. I wanted to do one to really highlight and showcase HR professionals that are on the front lines trying to serve the business as well as the employees. And it's a very uncomfortable position. But if I can enable their success and share their message and empower them, therefore, I'm on the same team as them. And in 2.5 years, I've now become an expert, people say, right, in HR. That's all branding, right? Branding and education and thought leadership and expertise. I went out and got certifications because I finally found out what my purpose and my passion was. And it was people at the end of the day. So podcasting is a really fun way. If anybody has thought about it, do it. I kicked around the idea for a lot of months, a lot of years. There's never going to be a good time. It's that shit or get off the pot mentality. Get off the pot, do it because it's fun. It's exciting. It's amazing who you can meet. It's amazing what you can learn. And it's the new wave of kind of getting and understanding the world that's around us in the community in which we live and work. So any questions before I board this plane?
I have a question.
Yes,
This is Pat.
please.
When I go into a company, I'm talking to a decision maker. What I do is offer 2 voluntary benefits, legal plans and identity theft plans. So I'm going into a company and I'm not talking necessarily to my ultimate customer, although the person I'm talking to might be interested in enrolling too, but they're speaking on behalf of their employees, whether they want the benefit or not. So when you put up the first thing, I'm all set. Sometimes that's what I get from people, or even if I'm talking to them on the phone, no, we're all set, or my employees wouldn't be interested. So I'm not really talking with the employees who I think would be interested, because I worked in HR for 25 years and I know they used to come to me with all their problems. How do I get beyond that person to convince them that
That all set?
I need to, yeah.
So it's
They think they're all set, but
all set is always that. Yeah, well, all set is it's a defense, right? It's and if you look at it as if we disarm people of that natural defense of theirs, just like I went through the exercise that they don't want to be told, right? They don't want to be told that this is something that they should care about. Tell them why it's something they should care about, right? So I would say it more as understand what their definition of success is and how you can enable their success with your solution or your product, right? So to them, it's a huge time thing for your solution. So one of the tricks that I typically take is I try to disarm people with that it's an easy way to say no, right? But people don't want to say no. They want to be nice and they want to be polite, and they're just going to say all set. So what I typically say is, hey, I understand that you probably don't have any immediate needs right now. That immediately takes that excuse or that reason that they're all set out of their pocket, right? So you're disarming them. And then I go a step further and say, I'm just reaching out. How can I start establishing a relationship with you? One of Tyler's famed lines is, I know I'm at the back of the line, but how do I get to the front of the line and start building a relationship with you today? When you're starting to talk about them and not yourself and understanding what they define as success, then you know how to position yourself and your solution that's going to help enable their success. Does that make sense?
yeah, I'm going to have to work on it a little bit, because it's their success through their employees is what I'm getting at, because that's who the ultimate program is for. So,
and I would take it a step further. You had 25 years in HR. What was a pain in the ass for you, and why don't you lean on that? Hey, I was an HR professional for 25 years.
well, I do. I
That you
tell
get
them,
calls from those employees, and you're the 1-800 hotline. Do you enjoy that? Is that something that you enjoy? Probably not, right? That's probably not the part of their job that they really like. And you say, well, how about I take that off of your plate, right? How about I take that one little extra stress in your day away? And oh, by the way, it's going to be a benefit to the employees because they get the actual answers to their questions. Put yourself in your shoes that you used to be in 25 years ago and talk I always say, would you talk to yourself, right? When you're talking, or would you actually talk to yourself and respond? Because that's the best
Thank you.
way to approach it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dustin put a nice comment in the chat too for you.
He's a sweetheart. Thanks, Dustin. What are the Glassdoor, Indeed, Google reviews saying? Bring value before asking for a sale. Love it. Yeah. So kind of what Dustin and I talk about frequently is that everybody's online investigators today. They're accustomed to saying, I have a need in this area. I'm going to go type it into Google. So maybe it's payroll services, and all of a sudden then it's a popularity contest based off of SEO and then off of ratings and likings and the Likert scale, right? They see stars, they assume that it's good. What I would say is that what is different in today's environment is that you have a personal scorecard out there in the world of networking, right? So if you're talking about something and it's resonating with others, you get an A in that area. If your message and your thing, whatever you're trying to share on LinkedIn is not going so hot, then maybe your message is not hitting the target audience that you're searching for. I love LinkedIn. I'll blabber for LinkedIn for a couple more minutes here because it's really changed my life. It's one of those social networking environments that I love because it was business minded and people weren't sharing their political opinions and showing things that they wouldn't even show in their professional world. That made me uncomfortable. I didn't really like that. I wanted to talk about business and really start bleeding the lines of professional and personalization really in the professional world. Because at the end of the day, we're all fiduciaries and we all should have a sense of taking care of the money like it was our own, and would we spend it on a solution if we had that need. So on LinkedIn, it's a wonderful opportunity. Again, this is where like posting. So really quick facts about LinkedIn is be careful about when you post. Depending on your geographical region, you really want to think about when people are potentially sitting on the toilet and scrolling through LinkedIn, because that is when you're going to reach most people, when people have downtime, right? So times of day is very important. Videos now are getting a lot of, I guess, priority in the algorithm. But the thing that gets the most popularity in the algorithm is pictures with texts. Have a picture. Don't be lazy. I see a lot of lazy people that are trying to build a brand and they're just going to use ADP related materials or whatever company is provided. And people are so immune to that. If you're scrolling through your LinkedIn feed, does that cause you to stop and pause and read? Probably not. You're scrolling right by it because you're like, it's not this person's ideas. They didn't come up with it. It's not creative. If you do read something, right, and you find the article very powerful and in line with something that you offer, post the actual article in the comments, because if you post it in the actual post, LinkedIn dings you. Anytime that you're pushing somebody away from the platform, just like Facebook, Instagram, any of those, they want you locked and loaded in that platform. They don't want you directing people outside of it. So those would be taken as negative points. The first 60 minutes of your post is most important. That either says it's going to the moon or it's going in the trash. So how quickly people can engage with it within the first 60 minutes is most vital. And that basically is LinkedIn's algorithm, how it starts sharing to your second and third degree connections. It's basically a litmus test to see who likes it. Is this interesting? And they reward creative content that you came up with, a la why we're seeing so many things now about copywriting. They want to see original things. Copywriting is just simply storytelling about the service or solution that you offer in a different way. I use analogies a lot to get people thinking differently, right? Things that we do as common practice in our personal lives, all of a sudden when we enter the doors of our business, it's like we forgot what the hell we do outside of work. And we're okay with using a hammer and chisel to do our daily jobs when we know that we go around the 10 lights at home and we take the highway because it's the quickest way. That's why Dustin and I, when you're selling technology, it's like beating your head against the wall because you're like, you don't do this in your personal life. Why is it okay when you come inside the wall of a business that you don't want to be as most efficient as possible? So it's frustrating. It gets frustrating out there, but just keep sharing your message and find your voice. And the best time is to test the waters of your talk track and make sure you're even using words that resonate with them. Any other questions? Well, this was an awesome, awesome time. I so appreciate the invite from Lindsay. This is cool, right? This is something I never thought I would be doing 6 months ago, right? This is, it's a wonderful opportunity to just say that, hey, this is my little token of appreciation out in the world of networking, and this is how that good karma comes back. I love teaching others, so please never hesitate to reach out if you ever want to network or ask me some questions. I'll ask you questions to learn a little bit more about you, but this was awesome, fun. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Kevin. I know that you had to get creative by being at the airport today, so kudos to you.
Yes. I'm hearing us about the board, but please reach out. I know you have some announcements to make as well.
Yep.
I'll send this presentation, or I already sent this presentation, so if you guys want access to it, but thank you all so much. Have a blessed day. Enjoy your weekend. And the sun is shining here in Rochester, so I got a big smile on my face because I'm going to Baltimore. I usually miss the nicest weather in Rochester.
Yes, thank you so much. Fly safe.
Sounds great. Thanks you guys again. Have a great day, everybody.
So
Thanks,
everyone that can still stay on for a moment, I just wanted to let you know about a couple upcoming BNSME events, of course. So on the 17th of November, which is coming up, crazy, we have a breakfast as always. It's on Zoom. So that's from 8:30 to 9. And then what I'm really excited about is, I think a lot of us are excited about, is the Progressive Networking Dinner. That was one of my first events with BNSME, and I really loved it. It's an opportunity to go to different tables and really get to know so many different kinds of people. It's just amazing. You walk away with all of these connections. That is November 22nd. It's from 5 to 8 at the Buffalo Niagara Convention Center. So make sure you register for that online. And then, of course, we have our annual holiday party, and that's going to be December 9th. And that is at the 36th floor at Seneca, at Seneca Tower. So that will be amazing. We'll wrap up the year with a bang. So I hope everyone has a fabulous rest of your Friday. Enjoy the sunshine. Make sure that you reach out to Kevin. I'm the same way with networking. I love LinkedIn, and it sounds like he just loves making connections. So anything else, Jean?
No, I think you got it all, Lindsay. Thank you everyone for being with us today. Have a wonderful weekend and hope to see you at one of our upcoming events.
Thank you.
Thank you.